now I'm uncomfortable, so I'm going to be laughing now. I'm so camera shy. Okay.
All right. You got this. Ready? You ready?
Yeah. Do you have like an intro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey everybody, it's me, Nellany, also known as Nell, and this is Getting PersoNell with Christ. And we're here for another talk story. You pick the topic. And today we have my friend Jennifer Rambawa. She was a friend of mine through church, like most of my friends. But Jen, welcome to Getting PersoNell with Christ.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I know you've been wanting to be on here.
Don't say that.
But I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
Your topic is why Catholicism. Good topic.
Yes.
And there's so many people that, have questions about the faith and what we believe. And we're going to go through why you pick your Catholic faith. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you work, or with your family, anything that you want to share with us.
Let's see. We'll start from the beginning. So I was actually, I don't know if I told you, I was actually baptized at Kauai Hau Church.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's Protestant, right? But my parents, they put me in Catholic school growing up. So that's how I learned about Catholicism and my faith. But because I wasn't baptized Catholic, when in second grade, everyone's going through sacramental prep, me and this one other girl had to sit on the side all the time when they were practicing. And at the time, we were like, high five, cool, we're different,
Yeah.
But at the same time, our teacher, she made receiving communion such a big deal. She hyped it up so much that I was a little jealous. I'm like, everyone gets to have Jesus, and then through the years, we would go to mass, weekly mass with the school, and I would only have to get a blessing and not receive communion.
Yeah.
So after 8th grade, we went on our 8th grade retreat. I had such a spiritual high, and we graduated. And in high school, I signed myself up for confirmation.
Nice.
Got myself received into the Catholic Church. And I stayed in ministry. In college, I was in ministry. And yeah.
That's interesting. That's so cool to know, because so many kids I've met at my job, OGC, that, have wanted to receive Jesus, and so praying for them. Hopefully they can receive him and be a part of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So that's good for kids in my grades that I teach, that there is hope that you can be a part of the Catholic faith, so.
Yeah. Did you know that about me?
No, not really.
Really?
I don't think I did. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I love that I got to choose Catholicism, So I do have 2 boys now. They're 2 and 3. They're at OLGC now. They haven't been baptized yet. And there was just, scheduling and stuff, and time was moving fast that I didn't get to it. But I think a part of me kind of wants them to go through that same faith journey. I got to choose my faith, so I feel like, I don't know, I have a deeper connection to it because I chose it. I didn't grow up with it like the rest of my classmates where their family was Catholic. They grew up going to mass every week. They were put into sacramental prep where I chose it, So I kind of want them to have that same journey, but at the same time, am I depriving them because they're going to mass every week with their friends? Their friends are going to get confirmed in second grade and all that. So I don't know. I'm praying about that.
It. Yeah. Because I was 7 when I got my sacraments, all my sacraments.
Right.
So I have a strong bond to it. But everybody talks about how come it's such an early age that they receive it, but I knew.
Yeah. It's second grade when everyone was doing it, and I couldn't go to confession with them. They were going to communion, and I was like, I really want to go,
Yeah. So, praying for your boys and for you to make this decision.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start off with an icebreaker question.
Ooh, awesome.
What's the most... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me try with this one. If you could describe your faith journey in a movie title, what would it be?
Ooh, my faith journey. it would either have to do with waves or something, or maybe the Four Seasons. I love my bougie hotels, but I feel like my faith journey has been, through seasons. I would have my highs and lows. And in college, I took religious classes, right? That's my major. I have a bachelor's degree in religious studies. But there was my psychology of religion class. It almost got me atheist.
Oh, really?
It was so good. I thought my professor was atheist for the longest time, but I think he's actually Jewish. Oh. But I was a Catholic, it was a Benedictine university, and all our classroom had crucifixes too. And he'd be like, that, pointing at it like that thing, this, that, like, I'm like, talking about how religion is a crutch for people.
Wow.
And I was like, oh no, is that what I've been doing my whole life? Using religion as a crutch for all my struggles. It was making sense. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
But I got through it. And it's funny because even though I felt like, I know he's right, like this doesn't make sense. Religion is a crutch. But at the same time, like, even though I felt like I was going atheist and not believing, I was still talking to God in my head, So I was still like, you're there, right? Like just daily. That's how I do prayers. I'm always talking to God. So I was like, you're there, right? I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. Help me,
Wow.
It was, I went through a lot of seasons with my faith.
Yeah. And I bet like a lot of people do,
Yeah.
But that is a strong one to be almost atheist.
It was rough, because, and I just felt like every time I was at my highest, like spiritual high, bad things were happening. Every time I got close to, like when I was doing the rosary every day, things would happen. So one time I didn't have money. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was spreading one can of Spam through the whole week. Like I would slice it, and put it in my ramen, my saimin, and try to ration it for the week. So like money was really tight. And I went to church. I went to mass and I was praying like, help me. I went outside, went to the grotto, prayed to Mary. I'm like, please, I need help. I'm struggling. I sold my ukulele just to pay, like put gas in my car.
Oh my gosh.
Like it was really rough. And then on the way home from mass, I got into a car accident. I'm like, I was just asking you for help. Like, why every time I get close to you, bad things happen, So it's crazy. Like, even though things were rough, I was still really strong in my faith.
That's a testament to something, just believing that somebody is listening to me. But it must have been hard to be like, I'm telling you all these things, and then you're like, no.
And I'm like, why do I go back to these spiritual highs when bad things always happen when I do this, But I was telling my high schoolers that, you guys are so young, you haven't had so much struggle yet. But when you do, like now that I'm older, it's easier for me to go through struggles because I've lived 21 years. But, but for so long, I've had so many low points where I can see the pattern where, like, the reason why those bad things happen. And I wouldn't be at the high points if those bad things didn't happen. So there was always a pattern, those bad things always brought me to where I needed to be. Right? It was a redirection. So now when I have bad things happening, like today, I'll be like, there's a reason for this. So I'm actually calmer now. It's easier for me to go through the storm. So I'm like, something great's going to happen. So like at the hotel, I was frustrated, and then you brought me here. So now I'm happier.
See, God will put you in through hell, but there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. So so glad that you're coming full circle. Teaching in a Catholic school. So that's great. Okay, what's the most Catholic thing about you? Like peak Catholic core.
Peak Catholic. People don't realize how Catholic I am, but maybe the most Catholic thing, maybe like mortification, So every day, say I stub my toe on a desk or something, corner of my bed, and it hurts. I'm like, it hurts. But like the second immediate thought is, I offer up this pain for whatever I'm praying for, right? I'm like, take this pain away for a scholarship for Damien, like every little, if I'm in traffic, running late to work and I'm stressing out, I stress out a lot. I have anxiety, my stomach hurts. I'm like, take this like I imagine my pain, my anxiety in a ball, and I'm like, take this and get one of my kids into Kamehameha. And look, so when are you posting this? My son got into Kamehameha.
Fourth week of April.
Oh, okay. So everyone will know soon. Yeah. So Damien got accepted, and that was part of one of my Lent prayer requests.
Nice. Wow.
But yeah, so any little inconvenience or pain or scratch, paper cut, I like offer it up as a prayer. And I think that's why I'm so blessed.
Yeah. So one of mine, and this is ridiculous because it has nothing to do as good as your mortification story, but like mine is getting out of the movie theater in the aisle and genuflecting.
Do you really?
Sometimes I'm just like, wait, I'm not at church. I'm just like about like one leg is behind. I'm like, wait, this is not church. I was like, Jesus is not here.
That's so funny. Yeah, you done it more than once?
Yeah, when it was the single chairs, not the comfy chairs, but every time because it was like
that's mortification.
GC pews, right? Like I was like, no, this is not church. What am I doing? Jesus is not here. But yeah,
I think one time when I got communion and I think I blew it like
was it hot?
Was it hot? Yeah, I put it in my mouth like, why did I do that?
Jesus is so hot.
I guess the flesh, right? 98 degrees. I don't know.
So let's get into it. So
okay.
Why Catholicism? With so many options to be different religions and whatever, what keeps you rooted in the Catholic faith?
Because it's the real one.
Amen.
Right. So I love religion, and growing up, like in high school when I was able to start driving on my own, I liked going to other churches. So some of my friends were Protestant. They went to non-denominational churches. They're like inviting me, and I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. I love Jesus, I didn't think anything of it. So I went, and then sometimes it didn't vibe with what they were talking about or what they were saying. I know one pastor, one of my friends introduced me, and I don't know how it came up, but he told me that dinosaurs weren't real. And I went,
oh, interesting. I didn't know that's a theology thing.
Yeah. And I was like, what? And it was one of the major non-denominations around here. So I was like, oh, okay. Right on. And I'm not confrontational. I was just like, okay, tell me more, but say less, but tell me more. And I've been to like a Lutheran service and a few others. I like going. I like to experience other denominations of Christianity and stuff. I've been to a Mormon service once just to check it out. But I said I'm open-minded, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And, now that I'm older and I've studied, theology and stuff, it's like, we're it. We are it. We have that apostolic succession, so like Father Santos, right, at Mass, he's ordained by someone. Who is ordained by someone? Who's ordained by someone? And you can trace it back to the original apostles, to St. Peter. This is our lineage, this is our line. We put the Bible together.
Yes.
This is everyone, whoever touches the Bible, no matter what church you go to, what denomination, that's us. We put that together. Everything. We have like all this stuff in Rome, the Holy Lands, and this is us,
It all connects to us,
And then I was just going over the Protestant Reformation with my students, and I made them research all the different Protestant denominations, because there's thousands of them, and a lot of them were started in the U.S., and the U.S. is less than, 250 years old? That's really young. Our faith is 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
Right? They're young.
Yeah.
And Martin Luther was, maybe 500 years ago? Still so young. Yeah. Everything they believe is less than 500 years.
Yeah.
Everything that we teach is 2,000 years. It's from the apostles. These are people that walked with Jesus. We're teaching and believing in things that the apostles heard from Jesus himself, right? This is us.
Yeah. We should be proud.
I'm so proud to be Catholic. And do you remember in the early 2000s, maybe mid, there was a campaign from the church about trying to get Catholics back to the Catholic faith. That video, Catholics coming home. I was so proud when I watched that because it was just like, we're the Catholic Church. We're the largest nonprofit organization on the planet. We started hospitals. We started orphanages. We started the universities. We made the scientific method. I was just like, oh my God, yes, that's us. So I'm so proud. And again, we have all these what do you call, like, writings and documents from back in the day, 2,000 years old. So it's us.
It's so sad to see, like, I had an uncle, he's all like, oh yeah, all religions are man-made. And I was like, but our son is made by God. And he goes, Jesus is a man. And I was like, Jesus is also God too. Well, Jesus is God, so... Just, we got it from God. It was passed down from him to Peter and the apostles and just carries on. And it's so great that we have it, and we would love for other people to know it too. Yeah.
And like, we have tradition, we're proud about tradition. And I love that we don't stray away from tradition, even though it might not vibe with like whatever's hip right now. People they're like, oh, that's not cool anymore. But no, we're not wavering in what we believe in. This is what we believe, and
so exciting. Catholicism is so great.
We're it, babe. No, and I just found out recently. I think I knew, but I didn't really know. It didn't hit me that Islam didn't come until after Jesus too. But Jesus is in the Quran. And stuff. But they came after us.
I didn't know that.
I don't know why. For some reason, I thought Muslims were like ancient too.
Yeah,
ancient
that's
religion.
what I thought. Yeah.
No, they were after Jesus' time.
I did not know that. Learn something new every day. Interesting.
So no, we're it.
So how do you explain Catholicism to people who misunderstand or stereotype it? Like,
I think it depends on the person, because I don't like confrontation. If I feel like they're not gonna listen, then I won't really try. But if someone's open, I guess start with the Mass, explain what we do. I'm like, the Mass is broken up to 2 sections. There's the Word, and we have the Eucharist. And this is just what the early Christians did. They gathered together, even though they were hiding. This is what they were doing. They would read scripture and they would break bread, and we just continue going on. And then we have all these extra things like the rosary, Advent, Lent, as like, I tell them like it's tools to help you to pray. It guides you. Like Lent, I love Lent. It makes me fast. It's a concentrated time for me to, think about something and practice something,
Yeah. So what is one thing that you love about the Catholic faith that you have a big devotion to? Like mine is the Eucharist. Like I love the Eucharist. What's yours?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I could pick one, I do love the rosary. I think that's one of the big things in my life. Like Lent, every Lent, I do a rosary every day. In high school, I used to do it every day. And I really believe in the rosary. One, because all the big prayers that I was requesting for, like a lot of them came true. Like I feel like they were miraculous things that happened in my life. So I'll give you a little small example. I don't know if I told you this, but one night I got into a car accident in Washington, and I was so scared to tell my mom. And so I dropped off my friend who was riding with me, and I went to school. I went up this hill, and there's a big statue of Jesus. It was nighttime. It was pouring rain. It's Washington, so it's cold, probably 40 degrees or something. But it was pouring rain, and I walked around the statue doing a rosary, just really intense in my prayer, like asking you to help me. Don't let my mom get mad at me. And so when I was done, I called her to let her know I was in an accident, and she was so calm. And I was already scared because it was late at night too. And she was like, "Oh, okay, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she's like, "Okay." She called a cop. I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I got a report." She's like, "Okay." Like the conversation was so calm and short, and I was like, "Okay, bye." I just looked at the statue like, oh my God, what happened? My mom never.
She would have blew up.
She would have blew up at me. Like one time when I told him I was switching majors, my dad threw the phone.
Oh my.
They didn't have hot tempers. So I was scared, and I was like, what happened? And months later, my mom told me, she said, oh, that night you called me, usually I would be so mad, but for some reason I was so calm. I'm like,
wow.
I was like, oh,
Mama Mary,
yeah.
Jesus was there for you.
Oh yeah, I believe it. And I tell the kids, like the first miracle, Jesus didn't want to do it, but he did it because his mom said so, and like it's part of the commandments that you have to honor your mother. So if you pray to Mary and you ask her, hey, can you ask Jesus this? Like he has to listen to his mom. So I really like love the rosary.
That's a great story to tell people, man, because if your mom would have blew up, it would have been a different story for you.
And that's just one example, like how I've seen the rosary work in my life. Like, finding my husband, having my family,
Yes.
People who haven't seen me for like a decade, they're like, you're married, you have kids. I'm so domesticated. I love going to bed at 8.
Oh man, wow, that's crazy. So let's see. Oh, you already answered that one in the beginning. I was going to ask you how you chose to pursue your Catholic faith, and you kind of answered that. And do you have anything else you want to say? What drew you in? Like, you just wanting to receive communion and
tradition. Having traditions, like, you can see it in families who have good traditions. Like, they do this, say they eat with their family every night for dinner. They all meet at grandma's house every Friday night. They do this every Sunday. They do this every Easter. Families with strong traditions like that, they're like a really strong family. So like my family, we used to do stuff like that. We always go to grandma's house every Fridays for dinner with everyone, all the cousins. Every Easter, the night before we all color eggs and we do this the next day. And we were really strong. But then as we grew up, we stopped those traditions. And I feel like my family's not strong anymore. Where there's such a disconnect. And just any other family, or like, say, sports fans, right? The teams with big traditions, like the 49ers, they have a strong fan base, even though they suck. But, but their fans are strong, they're faithful. They're called faithful, whatever, But, they're strong because they have all these traditions, So look at the Catholic faith, right? We have so much traditions. And I think that's why we're so strong. Even though we had those, dark times, we're still standing. The Roman Empire didn't last, but we did. You know what I mean? Like the Roman Empire, we still talk about them, gladiators, the Colosseum, but they're not here. We are. We're here.
So traditions,
they keep us strong.
So, when did Catholicism become yours? Not just something you practiced, but something you believed.
I think in high school, because I was no longer at a Catholic school. So now it was truly my choice to keep going to Mass, keep doing the rosary if I wanted to, and not eating meat on Fridays, because my family doesn't practice. I'm the only one. So like myself not eating meat on Fridays, even though my mom would make meat, I'll be like, oh, it's okay. I'll just have the veggies, So it was truly mine, because I was choosing to do stuff. And then when I went the way to college, I went to find my own parishes and ministries to join, So as once I was out of the Catholic schools, I think that was mine, because I was choosing to continue.
Nice, okay, so you work with high schoolers. What would you tell them for someone who, doesn't have a family that practices Catholicism? What would you share with them and encourage them with? What kind of words would you tell them to keep going in their faith?
I would just tell them to pray. Like this generation, I don't know, they're so different. But I think just starting from basic, just pray. And I tell them, it doesn't have to be a structured prayer. Just talk. Just talk freely. God's listening to your mind, even if you're just saying words in your head, like a journal, like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what to say that. It's fine, just talk, have that open communication, give yourself space to be quiet and listen to whatever he might be telling you to, and then you can like build on that once you start building your prayer life, with yourself.
Okay, if you could invite the world into the one Catholic tradition or experience, what would it be?
I'd say Lent.
Lent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't, just the practice of fasting, even if it's not for like your faith or prayer or something, just fasting is good for you. Your mind, that just having discipline is good for your mind, strengthen your mind. And it changes you, when you fast, you have that discipline. But then again, you can build upon that. Like I tell the kids, I gave them all these little brown crosses. I said, for Lent, this is a tool. It's an opportunity for you to give up something. When you give up something, it's like a prayer, right? So say you're giving up TikTok, right? And you say, in exchange for giving up TikTok, I want to pray for, so like example for myself, I'm praying last Lent, I prayed for my sons to get scholarship from Kamehameha. I said, okay, I'm going to give this up. And in exchange, I want to get them scholarship, and I give them the cross. I'm like, every time you struggle that you want to go back on the TikTok or something, remember what you gave up. This is your opportunity. This is such a great tool, to keep yourself focused in prayer. Yeah.
I know I struggle with fasting and it's difficult. Like the discipline is so hard. Yeah. Like I admire people who can say like, I've done the whole Lent with doing the sacrifice and the struggle is real. But
and I tell them, we have it easy because Muslims, they have Ramadan. They can't eat all day.
Yeah.
From the sun down to sun up, you have to wait for the sun to go completely down. So if you're like Dubai or whatever, those really tall high rises, if you're on the top floor, the sun is still peaking and they have to wait up there.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because on the ground level, it's already dark, but up there they can still see a peak of the sun on the horizon and they still have to wait to eat. And that's so long, right? It could be like 12 hours and they have to do it the whole season. Us is just meat on Fridays, and then you should be having small meals and stuff. But we have it easy if, and like fasting is so good for you and your body. Like for them, like they're not eating, they're hungry, their body's hungry, and eventually that kind of goes away and it gives you mental clarity, to function, in your daily life, if you have work, you have anxiety, depression, it really helps you, rejuvenates your body.
Yeah. And I think saying no to these small things will help you do like greater things, right?
Yeah.
So, I know we have a couple more days. This is Holy Week.
I keep
this is
saying
Palm
that.
Sunday right now. So this week is gonna be the one.
One more week and I can go back on TikTok. I can figure out what's going on in the world. What happened to Justin Baldoni? What's going on? Like did Blake Lively go to jail or what? I'm waiting. What else is going on?
Okay. What's something that keeps you hopeful about the church? For the future of the church.
These kids are so discouraging sometimes. But again, I think the church has been through so much dark times. We can keep going.
Yeah.
Again, we have our traditions to keep us strong. I think it will make it through. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Just have to hope in the Lord. Yeah. That's gonna be the one. Hope in the Lord. And this is the year of hope. So
we can do it.
Yes. And how has Catholicism helped you become the person you are today?
Oh, everything. There's just so much, and it got me through all those tough seasons in my life. And every time those seasons, I became a new person each time, so who I am today is not who I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I'm always changing. So it's helped me change. It helped me to grow pretty much. Like I'm still growing, I grew every time and it's helped me. It's not a crutch. It was a tool, A crutch is a tool. You don't just lean on it. It helps you walk, so my faith has helped me run.
Nice. Wow. Running.
Quote that. Yeah. Like I feel like I can thrive looking back at my life and how it got me through all those situations. And now moving forward, every time I'm in a situation, I'm like, I'll figure it out. It's something's worked, something's cooking. Something's going to happen, something's going to change. And look, like, not even a year ago, last summer, I was struggling, like, figure out what am I going to do? And the boys, right? What was I going to do for their spring breaks and winter breaks, fall breaks when they went to their new school and I was at the hotel and then you came along, right? You brought me here to be on a school schedule and everything's working out. You know, now I have more time, because that's what I prayed for last Lent too. I wanted more time with my boys. That was such a big thing that I was praying for every morning. Like, I missed so much of their life. They went straight to daycare at 6 months years old.
Wow.
So
6 months.
Yeah. Aaron started at 6 months, no, 5 months, maybe 6 months.
Wow.
Damien started at 3 months.
Wow.
They were such babies, you know, and they're growing and learning so much. And I feel robbed. Someone else was raising my babies. And I was praying last Lent. I'm like, I want more time with my kids.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how, be like a remote job so I can keep them with me, or just a new job. Just figure it out, Lord. Like, your will be done.
Yeah.
Help me, but put me somewhere you want me to be. You know, I always said that too. Like, put me where you need me to be, but help me figure this. I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
Because that's my thing, is just, this is everything I want. These are all my cards. Figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, I just let God figure it out. And look, now I'm on the same schedule with them. You know, so I was talking about how, asking God for like these different scenarios, like make the job work, make the situation work for my kids, you know, and and then letting God figure that out and sort it out. And I think that's where real faith comes in, because you're praying for things that seem so impossible.
Yeah.
And I think if you have faith that God can figure it out, it happens. You know, again, like me finding Aaron and having kids and having that whole domestic picture perfect family situation, like 10 years ago, that seems so far-fetched and like, no way. Right? That's not going to happen for me. And I think because I believed and I prayed for it, like, and really believed God could make that work, it worked. It happened. And I think that's happened so much in my life. Like, I would pray for things that just like, no, you know, but I would like fully, wholeheartedly believe like God can do it, you know? And like, it's so cliche to say, oh, God can move mountains. If you really wanted to, I think if we wanted to and pray for it and it's in his will, he'll move it.
Yeah. That's something I'm trying to learn more about, because I pray, but sometimes we're just like, oh, that doubt just comes in, and I'm like, oh, I don't think God would let me do it or let me have it. And but you know, thank you for sharing that, because that's amazing. Because I 10 years ago, I did not picture you having kids and a family.
See, exactly.
So,
and
anything is possible.
I love when people say that, you know, and like, I think people are afraid to tell me that. They're like, I didn't think you, and, you know, I'm like, no, say, I love hearing it, because it's amazing. You know, and I really did pray for it, like spent Lent in church. You know, I was by myself in Oregon, going to church every day by myself and going to confession, you know, before mass. And just all that time I would go to 24-hour gym. They had a pool near me, so I would do my rosary while doing laps, you know, so I was really praying for it.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I had that image in my mind that I would meet my best friend, someone I can like tell my secrets to and have fun, you know, like, cause I like being fun, and you know, we can joke around, and then like have a family, you know, like look at our kids lovingly, like we made these kids, and we do. It's funny, we do that like almost every day, like, that's your son, and you're like, no, that's your son, you know, like, you made that, you know, that's you, you know, and we really like, oh, you know, we really did make them, you know, this is us. It's so awesome, right? Like how the whole God made us his image, you know, these kids are our image, you know.
And they totally are your guys' image. Damien totally looks like you, and Aaron looks like Aaron. Like, it's crazy. Like,
I love it.
You can totally tell that's your kid.
And it's so fun, you know, to see science, you know, like, whoa, this is real.
Do they act like they're your kids? Like, like you guys?
You know, on the outside, I always tell Aaron, that's you. But I know that's me. I know it's me. Damien is me. You know, he's so rascal. He's just like, yes, I know this is my punishment, you know? And it gives me grace on myself. Like, okay, no wonder my mom was always mad at me, because I was like him. So that's why I try to be nicer to him. You know, you are the parent you needed when you were a kid. So, like, Damien, just relax. It's all right, son. But oh, you know, and then during COVID, And when everyone was going through like these mental breakdowns because we're all alone with our thoughts. And I started getting into like meditation, and my algorithms were teaching me about like vibrations and manifestation. I know it's not like Catholic or Christian, but it just made sense. And I would relate it to like my faith. Like again, so they would always talk about like manifesting, you know, you see it in your mind, you just keep seeing it, act like and talk like it already exists and it comes through. And that's how they practice manifestation. I'm like, I would use that in my faith. Like, okay, God already solved it. So the same thing with like the boys or their scholarships. I'm like, it's okay. The money, if God's going to figure it out. It's going to happen. You know, like whatever the situation is, God's got it. And I think that's why I'm like, yeah, if you pray and you believe God's going to answer it, it'll happen because you believed it. You know, so it really coincides with manifestation, you know, like if you believe it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I take it into God.
God's already got it.
Yeah, God's got it. Like he's going to figure it out. He knows what I want and I need, and he'll figure it out. If I don't get it, there was a reason and something else better is going to happen.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. I like that manifestation instead. Doing it where God's got it. Like,
yeah, it makes sense. So like, I enjoy watching these vibration and manifestation videos and meditating, you know, lowering your vibration and, you know, it's really just being calm, you know, and the Buddhist monks, like they fast and stuff. We fast. So my thesis for my bachelor's was the Benedictines and the Buddhist monks, how they're kind of the same pretty much. But yeah, I like magic because even like in the early Christian days, we adopted the concept of soul and divine stuff from Plato. That's all from the philosophers. We were adopting what they were saying and we took it and turned it into Christianity.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. I like that. God's already got it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to wrap it up soon, but is there anything that you want to tell the audience? Why Catholicism in one sentence?
Jesus is real. He was a man that walked this earth. If you go to Via Dolorosa, those are, you know, that's where he walked. These are where all these places you read in the Bible, the Galilee, the gardens, you know, they're all there. You can visit these places where Jesus, you know, prayed, where he cried, where he walked, where he was crucified. You can go there. This guy existed. And I think that's why, you know, I'm a Christian, because this guy existed and he died. And his friends saw him rise from the dead and go into heaven. Like, you know, why would you risk your life, you know, for this man? Because after he died, they were all having mass, right, in secret. Why would you risk your life to do that, to pray in hiding, you know, to on a, I don't know, you know, they saw him. He did this, right? This is all real. And I tell my kids all the time, like, this is real stuff. You know, these people died for their faith. You know, like, would you die for Ariana Grande? You know what I mean? Like, if someone who was a true fan, like Bruno Mars, right? Yeah. Like, would you listen to their music in secret, you know, risk dying, you know, to listen to their music? Is that how much you love them? You know? That you would risk your life going in your room and under your desk and listen to their music, you know? Is that how much you love Ariana Grande, Bruno Mars, you know? But the early Christians, they were, you know, praying in private and risking their lives, you know, and the Romans, they were mean about how they killed people. They're vicious, you know, this torture is nuts. So this is real, you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Jesus is real, Jen said.
He's real. I mean, yes. You can see these places.
And then we're going to end with, finish the sentence. I'm Catholic because...
there's so much. I'm Catholic because it's the truth.
It's the truth. That's right. It is the truth. And sometimes it's hard to hear the truth, but we have it here in the Catholic faith. And that's why we're Catholic. Yes, because of the truth. And thank you, Jen, for being on it. It was so much fun. It was a different vibe from my other ones. Yeah.
Okay, I hope you had fun.
I had fun. Yeah. And we're in a different environment. So that was cool. We have a different setup. Jen's going to teach me how to do.
I didn't finish decorating yet. Come back again. We'll have a part 2.
Jen is helping me figure out the logistics of all these things to make my podcast a little
We're going to make her a studio. We're going to get her a real studio. We're going to get you 2 of the mics that hang to the desk so it looks so fancy. We're going to be legit.
Instead of me holding it like this.
Sorry.
No, just kidding.
Thank you for this. Dear Mortification, offer it up.
Well, it's going to be Easter when this video comes out, so happy Easter. And with that, go light up the world with his love. Bye. That was great.
Okay, I hope so. I'm going to go home and think of all the things I should have said.